Have you ever wondered what women really want in bed, but never say out loud? It's not always what you think. It's not about being wild or perfect or performing like a movie. Sometimes it's something deeper, something that makes her feel safe enough to let go. I've seen many men worry they're not satisfying their partner. They try harder, buy guides, search online, and still feel unsure. And many women, they stay quiet, afraid of sounding too much or being judged for what they secretly want. As a doctor, I've had countless women whisper these questions in private consultations. They say things like, is it normal that I want to be touched differently? Is it strange that I fantasize about being in control? Or simply, why can't I just tell him what I like? So today, I want to bring that silence into the light. We'll talk about 6 intimate things women secretly crave, but rarely ask for. And more importantly, I'll explain why they want them. You'll understand the emotional and biological reasons behind these desires. Because when you know the science behind pleasure and trust, you stop guessing. You start connecting. And intimacy becomes something honest, confident, and deeply human. Let's talk about what women really want and how understanding it can transform your relationship. Let's be honest, most couples never really talk about what they like in bed, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to. For many women, sex isn't just a physical act, it's emotional. It's about trust, connection, and feeling desired. But somewhere along the way, that communication gets lost. Maybe she learned early on to go along with things to avoid hurting feelings. Maybe she grew up believing that wanting pleasure made her too forward. Or maybe she's just afraid of being misunderstood. She stays quiet, even when her body is saying something different. For men, it's confusing. You might notice her hesitation or sense she's not fully engaged. You start wondering, am I doing something wrong? Is she not attracted to me anymore? The truth is, neither of you is broken. You're both reacting to silence. And silence can be louder than words. You're both reacting to silence, and silence can be louder than words. In medicine, we talk about how the brain and body communicate through hormones and nerves. But in relationships, the same principle applies. If emotional signals are blocked, physical connection struggles too. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, flows when a person feels emotionally safe. If she's anxious or self-conscious, that flow is disrupted. That's why some women crave gentleness before passion, or exploration before routine. Not because they're complicated, but because the brain links trust with desire. So when we talk about the 6 kinky things women secretly want, we're not talking about extremes. We're talking about curiosity, about exploring fantasies that connect emotion, safety, and excitement. When you understand that, everything changes. You stop seeing intimacy as a checklist. It becomes a language, one you can both learn to speak fluently. And that's what we'll uncover next. The 6 things women secretly want to try, and how you can bring them to life with confidence and respect. So, let's dive into the 6 things women secretly want to try in bed, but rarely say out loud. These aren't wild fantasies or scenes from a movie. They're deeply human desires shaped by biology, emotion, and trust. Let's explore them together. 1. She wants to feel desired, not just touched. Every woman wants to feel wanted, not just physically, but emotionally. She wants to feel that you are fully present, that you see her, not just her body. In psychology, we call this attuned attention. It's when your focus signals safety and attraction at the same time. When a man looks at a woman with genuine curiosity and admiration, her body responds. Oxytocin rises, cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. That's why eye contact, slow pacing, and verbal affirmation are powerful. A simple phrase like, "You're beautiful right now," said sincerely, can do more than any technique. Desire isn't about performance, it's about presence. Second, she wants to be the one in control. Sometimes many men think dominance is always the turn on, but what women often want is the freedom to choose their role. When she's allowed to lead, even just once in a while, she feels empowered. Control lets her express parts of herself that daily life doesn't allow. A career woman who's always composed may secretly want to explore playfulness or even gentle dominance. This doesn't mean flipping roles completely. It's about trust. When she feels safe enough to take control, she's showing vulnerability in disguise. That's powerful intimacy. Try inviting her with curiosity. Would you like to lead tonight? That simple question tells her, This space belongs to both of us. Third, she wants to be surprised, but not startled. Novelty activates dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical. It's the same mechanism behind excitement, motivation, and reward. But there's a fine line between surprise and discomfort. A new position, a whispered fantasy, or even a change of setting. These can reignite desire. The key is emotional safety. She needs to know that if something doesn't feel right, you'll stop. That confidence lets her relax into the experience instead of worrying. So instead of asking, "Do you like surprises?" you can say, "I want to try something new. Tell me what you'd enjoy." It's a mix of playfulness and permission, and it makes her feel valued. Fourth, she wants to explore fantasy without judgment. Every person has private thoughts or images that bring excitement. Women are no different, but shame often silences them. Fantasy isn't about replacing reality, it's about stimulating imagination and emotion, both powerful drivers of arousal. Research shows that mental imagery activates the same pleasure centers as physical touch. Encourage open talk without pressure. You might start by sharing something small from your side. That vulnerability tells her it's safe to open up too. If she reveals something gentle or surprising, don't react with shock. Instead, say something like, "Thank you for telling me. I love that you trust me with it." You've just turned fantasy into intimacy. Fifth, she wants to be seen. Entirely. In a world obsessed with perfection, many women struggle with body confidence. The lighting, the angles, the comparisons, all of it adds invisible pressure. When a woman feels self-conscious, her brain releases more cortisol. That stress hormone literally blocks arousal pathways. But when she feels accepted, when you trace the line of her hip and say, "I love this," her body relaxes. Blood flow improves. Sensation deepens. It's not about compliments for the sake of flattery. It's about genuine appreciation. Look at her with warmth, not evaluation. That's how she starts to feel safe enough to fully enjoy herself. Sixth, she wants emotional connection after physical intimacy. This is the one men often overlook. Many think the main event is over once the act ends. But for women, the afterglow is part of the experience. After intimacy, oxytocin peaks. It's the same hormone released when a mother holds her child or when two people hug. It builds trust, but if one partner withdraws too quickly, it can create emotional distance. A gentle cuddle, a shared laugh, or even talking softly in bed helps her feel anchored. It tells her, this wasn't just physical, it meant something. This is also when the best conversations happen. She may open up about what she liked or what she'd love to explore next time. And that kind of honesty builds both emotional and physical confidence for you both. Putting it all together. So what does this really mean? Women don't necessarily want wild surprises or constant intensity. They want presence. They want curiosity, safety, and permission to explore their desires without fear. As a doctor, I've seen how much emotional health influences sexual wellness. When women feel understood and emotionally safe, their libido often returns naturally. Their hormones balance better. Sleep improves, confidence grows. So, if you want to deepen your connection, focus less on Schaber's techniques and more on trust. Ask questions. Listen. Be playful, not pressured. Desire thrives where there's respect. And that's something every healthy relationship deserves. Let's take a moment to breathe that in, because everything we've talked about today, desire, safety, curiosity, comes back to one core truth. Intimacy is communication. It's not just about bodies, it's about connection. And connection begins with understanding. Women often hold back not because they don't have desires, but because they're afraid of being judged for them. When you show her that it's safe to express herself, you unlock a deeper level of trust, and pleasure follows naturally. Remember the 6 things we discussed? First, she wants to feel desired, not just touched. Show her you see her as a whole person, not just a partner in bed. Second, she sometimes wants control, to explore power, play, and freedom. Give her that space with kindness and curiosity. Third, she craves novelty, gentle surprises that spark excitement without fear. It's not about shock, it's about discovery. Fourth, she wants to explore fantasies safely. These are windows into emotion, not performances. If she shares them, she's trusting you with a vulnerable part of herself. Fifth, she wants to feel seen and accepted. Your words, your gaze, your calm presence, they remind her she's enough. And finally, she wants emotional connection after physical intimacy. That's where real bonding happens, in the quiet moments after passion fades. When you honor these needs, intimacy becomes something sacred. It stops being about trying to impress. It becomes about giving and receiving freely and openly. So next time, don't rush. Look, listen, be curious. Ask her what feels good, not just physically, but emotionally. Because when you start communicating like that, you'll notice the difference, not just in the bedroom, but in every part of your relationship. Always remember, your body responds to safety, your heart responds to understanding, and your relationship thrives when both are present. As I often tell my patients, pleasure is a reflection of trust. Build that first, and everything else naturally follows. If there's one thing I hope you take from this, it's that intimacy isn't about perfection. It's about presence, patience, and communication. When you understand what your partner truly desires emotionally and physically, everything changes. The guessing stops, the connection deepens, and the bedroom becomes a space of trust, not pressure. So start small, ask questions, share what you like too. You'll be surprised how honesty can turn hesitation into closeness. If you found this helpful, I invite you to subscribe for more doctor-led insights on sexual health, emotional wellness, and relationship confidence. Here we talk about real topics, without shame, without judgment, and always with compassion. Because when we understand our bodies and our partners better, we build relationships that last, with more love, more confidence, and more connection. I'm Dr. Rosalia Viterbo, and I believe healthy intimacy begins with honest conversations. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Take care of your health, take care of your heart, and I'll see you in the next video.